Good afternoon, everybody. This afternoon's proceedings will be broadcast on the live link after a 10-minute delay. Those with recording devices, mobile telephones, may use them to report what they hear this afternoon, but not use them for the purpose of recording or photography. There is going to be a short period towards the end of the open evidence when there will be a private session. That will be announced when we get to it. Meanwhile, further to the interim order made this morning, there must be no disclosure or publication made of the information stated during the hearing today between 12:37 and 12:39, both times inclusive. A redacted transcript will in due course be published.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Boyling, I want to turn to the question of the SDS meetings, the twice-weekly meetings that you attended. You describe in your witness statement that initially all UCOs were present at the same time. There was a round-table discussion, and that meant people were saying what they were aware of in their particular field and talking about forthcoming events.
Yes.
Did that arrangement for the meetings remain the same throughout the time that you were in the SDS?
It became much more loose later on. So the intention was you'd have one meeting with everybody, and then you'd have one day where you just came in individually, but the main meeting of everybody sort of became a bit looser.
Was there still a meeting with everybody present?
That was the intention, that everybody should be present.
And so was the attendance usually high?
Yeah.
And the consequence of the meetings being run in that way is you all had some idea of what the others were doing?
Very brief. People didn't give a debrief, they just gave a couple of lines of what they were doing.
And you would hear people talking about major forthcoming events and that sort of thing. So if we could just take an example from early in your deployment. If we have up 245325. So this is a report about a then forthcoming demonstration that was going to happen in October of 1995. The report's dated 26th of July, and it's about a march which was entitled Demand Justice, which was going to campaign in support of a number of justice campaigns. Is that the sort of forthcoming event that would be referred to at SDS meetings?
Potentially.
If we could take that down now, please. Does it follow that you would be aware in high-level terms that, for example, Peter Francis was reporting on events involving justice campaigns?
No, I was aware that Pete Francis was working on militant and related groups.
But when groups that were related were campaigning on anti-racist matters and there were demonstrations arranged, would you be aware that those were coming up?
No, I have no detailed knowledge of Pete Francis' deployment beyond what I've just said.
I'm not suggesting you had a detailed
knowledge. I think that answers, I don't know what campaigns Pete Francis was involved in. I know he was militant and related groups.
The proposition is, would you know that he was attending demonstrations which were supporting justice campaigns?
No.
HN 81, who used the code name David Hagan.
Yeah.
You'd be aware that he infiltrated initially the Socialist Workers' Party and then moved on to Movement for Justice?
I was aware that he was deployed in the SWP. That's probably about the limit of it.
Our understanding is HN81 was only deployed into SWP for a relatively short period of time. At the start of his deployment, he then went to Brixton and became involved with the MFJ. Would you have known about that?
No. It might help you that you tended to know, once you'd been in the field for a while, you had a lot on, you didn't pay that much attention to what people coming in behind you were doing. I didn't know this officer particularly well. My understanding was that his deployment was SWP. I never worked with him, nor was I ever briefed with him about anything.
And is your evidence that in the plenary meetings that the plenary parts of the meetings you've described, that even knowledge as high level as he was infiltrating the movement for justice would not have come to your attention?
I don't think I would have paid that much attention. I'm not trying to be evasive, but it goes around the room very quickly. I probably only paid attention to people where I thought there was an overlap with what I was doing, or if there was something particularly interesting about what somebody was doing, and I didn't think his deployment was something that's registered with me very much.
With Mark Jenner's deployment, would you have been aware that he was deployed into the Colin Roach Centre?
Yes, I think I was. Mark was deployed immediately before me, so I sort of paid more attention to what he was doing.
And the Hackney Community Defence Association?
I don't remember that one. I would have thought he was more sort of Red Action area.
But he was mixing with people who were campaigning on grounds of racial equality?
No, I wasn't aware of that. No.
Really?
Yeah, really.
And police accountability?
No, I didn't know he was doing that. I thought he was Red Action and I think Anti-Fascist Action. I think he was North London organiser for that.
Were you aware that he did get into Red Action, but it took him a long time to do so?
Well, I had quite a lot on myself, so I didn't follow it any more closely than that. That was what I thought he was doing.
Whilst you were in the SDS, attending SDS meetings, what did managers say about racial justice campaigns?
I don't remember them saying anything about them.
Did they say anything about their relevance to SDS work?
No.
Anything to the effect that the SDS was interested in left-wing groups which were associated with those campaigns?
No.
Nothing at all?
No.
Is it your evidence positive?
Well, not to me, but it wouldn't have been relevant to my deployment particularly.
Did they say anything in the meetings that, although not relevant to you, was being directed at others?
No. Well, not that I remember them saying.
In February 1997, the verdict in the Stephen Lawrence inquest was announced. Was the Stephen Lawrence case something that came up in conversation in the SDS?
Never, to my knowledge.
Are you sure about that?
Well, I'm sure about my knowledge of it.
Are you able to help us with what the reaction within the SDS was to the Stephen Lawrence inquest?
None whatsoever that I remember. I don't think it impinged upon us at all, to my recollection.
Was there ever any talk of Stephen's death being exploited by the far left?
No.
In July 1997, the Stephen Lawrence inquiry was announced. What sort of views were expressed within the SDS about that development?
None whatsoever.
Are you sure that nothing was said about it at all?
I don't remember anybody saying anything at the meeting about it or in my presence about it. I think everybody knew that whole area would have been particularly toxic. I wasn't aware of any involvement for police. I mean, I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean for police. I don't recall it ever coming up at a meeting. Certainly not in the main meeting. It might have come up at a separate meeting for the people working the left wing, but I wouldn't have been at that meeting.
When New Labour came to power in 1997 and Jack Straw became the Home Secretary, what sort of views were expressed about that development?
None whatsoever.
Was there any concern that Mr. Straw's past as a political activist might influence and change the climate compared to the preceding Conservative government?
No.
In June 1998, the then 5 suspects appeared in front of the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, and there was disorder outside, at which we understand HN81 was present. Was that an occasion which was talked about in any way at SDS meetings?
Never in my presence. All that I was aware of.
Did anybody express any view, one way or the other, about that dramatic event?
The same answer.
In February 1999, the Macpherson report was published with a finding that not only was the murder investigation deeply flawed, but there was also institutional racism. What was your reaction to the Macpherson report?
I didn't have a reaction to the Macpherson report.
None whatsoever,
No.
despite it being a toxic subject for the police.
I've never had any involvement in Lawrence or Macpherson or any tasking of it, nor have I discussed it. It's just not an area I've ever impinged upon at all.
That's not what I'm asking.
Well, it isn't, but I think it answers your whole series of questions. I was trying to help you.
I'm asking whether you had an opinion.
No.
Did any of your SDS colleagues express any opinion?
No.
None whatsoever?
Not that I remembered, not in my presence, same answer.
What was the opinion of your managers, then HN58 and HN53?
Same answer.
Did they say anything at all about this important report?
Same answer.
The inquiry has had evidence from some of your former colleagues to the effect that these questions were the subject of discussion and opinions.
Not by me or in my presence.
Are you certain of that?
Yeah, I would have remembered that, I think.
Why would you have remembered if it didn't matter to you very much?
For the reason that I gave, that from the policing point of view, it's a big subject. I find it quite strange that this has become a big thing. If there was any aspect involving that section, I genuinely was not aware of it. It was never discussed in my presence. I don't remember being aware that anybody was involved in it. I can't be more comprehensive in my answer than that.
Where were you when you first heard of Dwayne Brooks?
I probably read about him in the newspaper in the 90s or the early 2000s.
Did you ever hear colleagues speaking about him?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Were there ever any racist jokes told by anyone
No.
within the SDS at any time?
No.
Were
The SDS wasn't even, just by the by, wasn't an all-white unit for all the time I was on it either. So.
Were racial slurs ever used?
No.
Did you know Chief Superintendent Potter before he was medically retired?
No.
Did you come to learn that Chief Superintendent Potter was involved in a racist incident which led to him being medically discharged?
That's the first I've heard of it.
No gossip or discussion at all that you heard?
What year was this?
1993.
No.
No gossip about a chief superintendent leaving following a racist outburst?
No. Well, 1993. I don't remember hearing any gossip about that. But I might have heard something about it, but I don't know who he is, so that doesn't really help, does it?
Did you know the manager we are using the nominal HN86 for?
He conducted my initial recruitment interview for SDS. I think that's the only contact I've ever had with him.
Did he ever use any kind of racial slur in your presence?
Not during my interview or at any other... Well, my interview is the only contact I've ever had with him. He just interviewed me to see my suitability for the section. He was already gone by the time I came to my second interview, even. So the answer is no.
Did he express any racist views to you?
No.
Did he have a reputation for doing either of those things?
No,
How well did you know him?
not at all.
You joined the Metropolitan Police Service in November 1986,
Yes.
as we understand. When you joined the MPS and in your years in uniform before joining Special Branch, did you ever encounter any racism within the MPS?
Yeah. When I finished university and joined the police, and I went to Brixton in 1986. By modern standards, Brixton would still have had elements of stereotyped attitudes, quite endemic at times. Yeah.
When you say Brixton, do you mean Brixton Police Station?
Yeah, Brixton Division. I was at Brixton Division.
And how endemic was it?
I mean, endemic was it? I mean, not throughout the station. There was a good ethnic mix amongst the officers coming in, but there was still some what I might describe as very old school attitudes there, I think.
Do you mean not a euphemism for racist?
Yeah, it probably is, isn't it?
And other than Brixton Police Station, did you encounter any other racism in the MPS before joining Special Branch?
Well, I was at Brixton from 86 to 91, and then I went straight into Special Branch. And Special Branch had a far higher educational level. I don't know how else to say that. It wasn't the same attitudes as you would get on Borough.
I'm going to come to Special Branch, but I'm obviously...
I went straight from Brixton to Special Branch.
But in terms of when you were training, any police officers you came into contact with...
Not that I remember.
Outside Brixton?
No.
Special Branch. You joined in July 1991.
That sounds about right.
Did you encounter any racism in Special Branch?
No.
None at all?
Not that I was aware of. I mean, I'm a white officer, so it might have been different if I wasn't, but no, I not in my presence.
And how educated were you in things like definitions of racism at that time?
Definitions of racism? I'm not sure that we were at all.
So in terms of your ability to spot anything other than very clear, overt racism, what would your capacity have been to detect things like indirect racism or subtle racism?
Strange to say, but I don't think people were particularly aware of those nuances in 1991.
In the circles in which you were mixing?
Well, yeah. Sort of subconscious bias and all that such like that wasn't really a thing in 1991.
Can I move on now to the conduct of some of your colleagues in the SDS? First of all, Mark Jenner. You've stated in your witness statement that you were aware that Mark Jenner was in a relationship whilst in the field. You say, we were recruited at the same time and were quite open about it with each other. When did you first learn that Mr. Jenner was in a relationship?
I can't remember when, but I certainly knew that he was.
Was it at an early stage of your deployment?
I can only give you the previous answer. I can't remember exactly when I would have become aware of that.
Not even to within a year?
This is, what, 1990s? No, I'm sorry.
How did you learn?
I don't remember. I just became aware that he was. I don't. Same as with myself. I don't think it was a secret particularly, but I don't remember there was a big reveal or something in the way that I think would answer your question. I think I just became aware of it.
And in what terms did you speak to one another about your respective sexual relationships undercover?
Minimally, if at all.
Did you discuss at all the tradecraft manual?
Not when we were in the field, I don't think, no.
At any time?
I don't remember doing so.
Did you discuss the morality of what you were doing?
The job as a whole, or relationships?
Sexual relationships.
No, I don't think so.
Did you discuss your families at all?
No.
Did Mr. Jenner speak about his family and the fact he was having a relationship with somebody other than his wife?
No.
Can you give me a yes/no answer to this? Did you mention or discuss Mr. Jenner's sexual relationship undercover with anybody else in the SDS?
No.
Was it widely known?
I don't know.
Did you ever suggest to him that he should end his relationship with Alison?
No. No.
Did he ever suggest to you that you should end any of your sexual relationships undercover?
No.
Was there any sense that these relationships were regarded as a perk of the job?
No.
Did you attend SDS Christmas parties?
Not sure I would describe them as Christmas parties. Parties is the wrong word. There would be occasional, because people work independently in the field and can get very isolated, there would be occasional attempts to bring everybody together socially. I think that being a suggestion for the support of the officers. So I think every so often we would come in for a meal or something. Most of us would attend. They were quite rare.
If I call it a Christmas function.
Okay, that's better, yeah.
Did you attend SDS Christmas functions?
I think I probably did, yeah.
And the woman we are calling S, who was Mark Jenner's then wife.
Okay, yeah.
Was she there?
Yeah, I did attend a function and she was there.
Did you feel awkward with S at a Christmas function with Mr. Jenner, knowing what Mr. Jenner was doing?
No, because the only time I remember meeting Mark's wife was probably might have been the very first year that I was deployed, and I wasn't aware of what Mark was doing, if indeed he was in a relationship at that point.
Were there Christmas functions after that, which you were all present?
There's only the one that I can remember that people's partners came to.
So no sense of awkwardness at all?
Well, I had nothing to be awkward about. I wasn't aware of anything. I'm not even sure if he was in a relationship at the time that I met his wife.
HN1. You again have said that you knew about the others' sexual relations undercover. When did you first learn about HN1s?
I don't remember.
Was it before you deployed?
No, I don't think so. But I don't remember is the answer.
When you say you don't remember, can we take it that it was so matter of fact that it...
No, we can take it that this is some point in the 1990s and I don't remember the date.
Did you discuss the tradecraft manual with him?
I don't think so. Don't recall doing so, but we might have done.
The morality of sleeping with people in your undercover identity?
Not that I remember.
Your families? You discuss them, the impact of sleeping with other people?
Well,
I know your relationship came apart very early on, but did he talk about his family? Did you talk to him about the morality of what he was doing?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we didn't socialise together.
Give me a yes or no answer to this. Did you speak about HN1's sexual relationship with anybody else?
No.
Did you speak about it in front of anybody else, yes or no? Was it widely known?
No. Well, I don't think so. I mean, I never asked anybody else what they knew. Yeah.
Did you ever suggest that he should end his relationship, his undercover relationship?
It would not have been my place to do so.
Would it not have been your place to do so because what he was doing was wrong?
He was a rank above me and he was my field mentor. It's not my place to advise him.
Well, did he advise you to end yours?
No.
Was there a sense between the two of you that what you were doing sexually undercover was a perk of the job?
No, never. But I don't think that attitude, I've never come across that attitude, no.
On the subject of HN1, did he ever speak to you about Jeff Shepherd?
I was aware that he was an associate of his.
Did he say anything to you in connection with Mr. Shepherd about improvised incendiary devices?
Not to me. I was aware of the operation and the arrest around it, but I wasn't involved in it.
I'm asking, I know that.
Yeah, sure,
I'm asking
okay.
whether he ever spoke to you about
I had no
IID.
separate discussion with that officer about that person, and I didn't know that person. Jeff Shepherd, sorry.
Did he speak to you about Jeff Shepherd and a shotgun?
Not to me, no. But again, I was aware of that aspect of the operation.
Andy Coles. Did he ever speak to you about sexual relationships undercover?
Not that I remember.
Or sexual activity undercover?
Same answer.
Did you know whether or not Mr. Coles had become involved sexually with anybody undercover?
I was not aware of that.
HN78, Trevor Morris. Did you ever discuss sexual activity undercover with him?
No.
Did you know whether or not he was involved sexually with anybody undercover in any way?
No.
James Thompson. We've heard some evidence that as Mr. Thompson's deployment was coming to an end, he telephoned you 4 times on the 4th of April 2002 at the end of the deployment. Can you recall being contacted by Thompson at the end of your deployment?
No.
At any time, did you become aware that Mr. Thompson had got himself involved sexually with people undercover?
Not when I was on SDS, no.
When did you first learn that?
Some years later.
How?
He told me.
Can you help us with the circumstances in which he told you?
He told me in a cafe near Scotland Yard.
And can you help us as best you can with when that was?
It was some years afterwards, and I think probably post 2011.
Can you help us with how soon after 2011?
No. I think it was probably after I'd been in the paper. But I don't remember how soon after. No.
Is it before or after this inquiry started in 2015?
Oh, before I think. I think before.
We've heard some evidence about SDS trips away. Did you go on a trip to Amsterdam?
Yes.
How many times did you go to Amsterdam with the SDS?
Once.
When you went to Amsterdam, can you help us with what year that was, as best you can remember?
You probably know it, but I don't, I'm afraid.
Can you help us on that trip? Did anybody take any drugs which were legal in Amsterdam but would have been prohibited in this jurisdiction?
Well, I did.
Did any of your colleagues?
I think myself and Mark had a smoke in a bar.
Anybody else?
No.
In terms of sex, did you and other members of the SDS visit the red light district?
We walked through it, yeah.
To your knowledge, did anybody in the SDS on that trip use the services of a sex worker?
No.
Did you go to Las Vegas?
Yes.
When you were on the SDS trip to Las Vegas, did anybody on that trip take drugs?
No.
Did anybody use the services of a sex worker?
No.
Within the SDS, when there were conversations about women, can you help us with the sort of tone of conversation there was?
I don't remember conversations about women on the SDS, but I don't think there was anybody. The implication in your question is clear. I don't think there were any great sexist attitudes on the SDS. I'd been recruited at the same time as a female officer as well as Mark. We worked together. I don't think there was any sort of disrespect towards women.
And you maintain that view, notwithstanding everything we now know about what was happening in the
Yes.
I'm going to read to you the Metropolitan Police Service's apology produced to this inquiry at the start of Tranche 2. And the question, once I've read it, is whether you align yourself with that apology now. These relationships, and it's referring to the sexual relationships, were a gross violation of these individuals' privacy and human rights. They were abusive, deceitful, manipulative, and wrong. The MPS apologises again, unreservedly, to the individuals whose lives have been and continue to be affected. Further, as the MPS said in its preliminary closing remarks at the conclusion to T2, sexual relationships and the poor management that facilitated them were unacceptable by the standards of any time and amounted to serious failings.
What is the question?
Do you align yourself with that apology now?
No, I don't. I think that's a very self-serving and slightly cowardly response by the Met in order to avoid responsibility for
be made behind the scenes. Mr. Boyling, you gave some evidence that there may be briefings and discussions before demonstrations and they'd come up. When there were multiple undercover police officers going to be at a demonstration, what sort of discussions did you have?
Sometimes it was the case that if there was a particularly large event, that the officers involved with it would have a separate discussion with the handler.
So if there were going to be two SDS UCOs,
you could get more than one UCO would have a closed meeting with more than one UCO.
You'd all sit down and discuss what was coming up.
Yeah.
Were you ever aware that UCOs from the NPOIU were also going to be at the same demonstrations?
For most of the time that I was on SDS, there were no undercover officers on that unit. Right at the end of my time in the field, that unit was set up.
Was there any liaison? Were you told, for example, that an NPOIU officer would be there?
I think the only time I remember was I was told there was going to be an NPOIU officer coming from a particular activist group to a meeting that I was involved with. But they didn't know which one, but it was obvious to me immediately which one it was.
Do you recall whether you were given any information about an officer who used a cover name Rod Richardson?
That's the one, yeah.
Do you recall any information about his presence at the J18?
No, I didn't know he was at J18.
Were there any joint meetings between the NPOIU and the SDS so that you could liaise about covering large demonstrations?
No.
You talked, when I was asking you questions about your meetings with HN367, following, I think it was a compromise in 2010 and or the story breaking in the media, and you said there were bad feelings between the SDS and the unit. Can I just be clear which unit you are saying there was bad feeling with?
There was bad feeling between some former SDS officers and is it Covert Functions unit? The unit that officer was involved in. I'm not sure what it was called at the time. The sort of main undercover unit for the Met.
And to be clear, were there bad feelings between the SDS and the NPOIU?
I wasn't really. I didn't really have any dealings with the NPOIU, so I'm not really sure. I think they would certainly. I think they would have regarded themselves as a rival unit. I think it was more that sort of relationship than cooperative, but I didn't have any dealings with them myself.
Friendly rivals or hostile rivals?
I'm not sure. That would be a question for people in the office, I think.
Can you recall an incident when you left Monica alone in your flat crying during the course of your deployment?
No.
Do you mean that never happened, or that it might have happened but you cannot remember?
I think it's unlikely that I cannot remember, but I think it's unlikely that she's made it up, if that's her account. But I don't remember any such incident.
I want to. We've covered this ground, but I want to be crystal clear with you. Rosa's position that if she had known when you first began your sexual relationship that you were an undercover police officer, she would not have had sex with you. Is there anything, any evidence you want to give on that issue?
I think if you'd seen the other half of the correspondence...
This is when you first start the sexual relationship undercover in 1999.
Yeah, sorry, what's the problem with my answer to that then?
You continue.
Okay. Well, I would make clear that once she knew who I was, her reaction to that was to send me lots of emails to try to rekindle the relationship. She flew all the way to Africa to get back together. She asked me to marry her. We got married. We had 2 children. All that evidence implies that the fact that I had been an undercover police officer was not a great deal. I appreciate that that is not a convenient narrative, and I don't really wish to undermine her in any way, so I think I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. If it was said that quite a lot of water had gone under the bridge before she had to make that decision because she'd got to know you, and that's the crucial difference. Do you want to say anything about that?
I don't want to undermine my ex-wife. Sorry if that's not what people want to hear, but I just would rather leave that be.
We would just like your answers.
I'll leave it be.
Just like the truth,
Yeah.
no more, no less. When you rekindle the relationship, you've described the conversation that you had in Kingston on the day you met at the Riverside Cafe. And what you've told us, you said about your sentiments towards RTS, activism, the friends you had there. If it suggested that it was on the basis that you were saying things that made her think you were repudiating the police and seeking to embrace activism and an alternative lifestyle, and that was what motivated her to consent to sex in the rekindled relationship, I wish to give you the opportunity to respond to that.
No, I don't think that's true at all. Sorry.
Why don't you think it's true?
From my experience of her, our conversations, our relationship, that I understand that that's a narrative that is necessary now, but I'm afraid I don't think that's consistent with the truth.
Did you tell Rosa that your home might be raided?
My real home?
Yes.
No.
At any time?
Correct.
Can I go back to the conversation you have with Detective Inspector Lambert before you re-embark on a relationship with Rosa? You've described that in a rather nicer way than the office, he left it to you. Mm-hmm. Did he give you any encouragement to restart the relationship with Rosa?
No.
Did he try to discourage you in any way?
No.
Once he learned that there were difficulties, or put another way, when did he learn that there were difficulties in your marriage? This is your marriage to Rosa.
I'm not totally sure what you mean by that, because he was always aware of the family circumstances, which were always difficult.
Perhaps
by which I was meaning in relation to the family itself, not in relation to this.
How keen was D.I. Lambert to support you in both the personal difficulties your family was having and/or in difficulties with your marriage?
In terms of the family in general, Bob's a very kind sort of guy. He travelled a long way to offer whatever support we might need as a family after the end of 2006. He then subsequently was very supportive of me going on to a sort of compressed hours system in order to support Rosa and the children as much as possible. He bent over backwards to try to help us with the children.
Did he ever discuss with you any concern about what Rosa might do when you ran into marital difficulties?
No.
In particular, whether she might blow the whistle on the fact you were an undercover police officer?
We didn't discuss it. I know that seems unlikely, but obviously there were far bigger issues for us. Far bigger.
Did anybody within the Metropolitan Police Service raise that risk with you?
No.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure, but unless you're going to point something out that indicates otherwise, I don't remember any such discussion with anybody.
We are told that Rosa never worked as a waitress, and that a suggestion in the documents that Rosa was a waitress in a vegan cafe is wrong.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Okay, I thought she worked as a waitress in a vegan cafe with the activist who's the woman. She lived in the squat in Holborn with two other activists, a man and a woman. The woman also worked with her as a waitress in the same vegan cafe, and she told me that was what she did when she introduced herself. I mean, I'm not sure how significant that is, but that was absolutely my understanding. I think the vegan cafe was in a park in North London somewhere.
You referred to high and low maintenance officers in your evidence. Writing down any ciphers or names you need to write down, could you give an example of a high maintenance officer and a low maintenance officer?
You don't want me to give a cipher?
If there's no cipher and and you are, there's no restriction order, you can say the name, but otherwise I don't want you to say a cipher.
HN1 would be considered very low maintenance. And I remember the conversation when I heard it was specifically about I can't find the name of the officer on your list here, and he's deceased.
If you could write it down then, please.
Yeah, I can't find it.
Thank you. Thank you.
That officer is, are you holding him out as high or an example of high or low maintenance?
When I first heard that term used, it was because he was on the phone to the office again about something, and there was a conversation about he's constantly wanting input from the office and input from his handlers. So the conversation was along the lines of he was high maintenance. I'd heard the term high and low before, but for an example of it being used, I remember it was used about that officer.
Genetically modified crops. Do you recall that there was a large demonstration against genetically modified crops at Watlington in Oxfordshire about a month after the J18 event?
No. I don't remember that. You're going to tell me that I was there now?
Well, I was going to ask you if you were there.
No, I don't remember it. Yeah, I don't remember being on that at all, no. So.
We looked at a document this morning where I was asking you about the legal ties to the East London Collective. That document also contained a reference to Steele's enforced move from her address in 2 months' time. Can you help us with how you knew that Helen Steele was going to be the subject of an enforced move?
I don't recall, but I think she might have told me. I dropped her off once at her flat, and I think she might have told me that she was moving because I had a van, something like that.
And this document is dated April 2000, obviously shortly before the May Day 2000 event.
Yeah.
Can you help us with whether the enforced move was part of a disruption or harassment plan?
No, it wasn't. No, I think she would have mentioned to me that she was moved or something. I don't remember what that was about. It sounds to me like I've taken her home and dropped her off after a May Day meeting. And she's mentioned something about it.
Operation Gant. Can you help us? You've told us that there seemed to be a pattern in the way the devices had been constructed, with the same
Firework component.
Was there also a modus operandi for the way in which the devices were delivered?
No, I can't remember that. I can't remember. I've got an idea they might have been pushed through the front door or something like that, but I'm not. That might well be wrong. I'm afraid it's a long time ago.
Sent through the post?
No. I think they were hand delivered because one of them there was this description of a suspect leaving the scene, very likely to have delivered it to this address, and that was one of the things that helped us to identify that it was very probably this person.
Delivered in more than one way?
I can't remember. There was an Operation Gant file, but I'm not sure I would remember it correctly. It's probably still in existence if it's relevant.
Earth First.
Yeah.
We saw some reporting early on in your deployment about Earth First, and then it becomes much more about RTS.
Yeah.
Was there a resurgence of interest in Earth First towards the end of your deployment?
It's the same people. It's almost, there's a huge, in the Venn diagram of activism, there's a huge overlap between lots of groups, and Earth First and RTS had a lot of overlap.
Your arrest at the Good Easter Hunt, Sab.
I wasn't arrested at the Good Easter Hunt.
Sorry. Your participation in the event at which there were arrests at the Good Easter Hunt, Sab. Were you given any parameters before that event as to how you could behave?
No.
Was your handler anywhere nearby?
No.
Any handler anywhere nearby?
Don't think so.
Were you given any assurances you wouldn't be arrested?
No.
We've seen the draft witness statement, and I understand your evidence is you don't.
I didn't write it.
You don't recall writing it.
Well, my evidence is that I didn't write it.
Or provide the instructions from which it was written up.
Not in terms of the content. I think I was asked if I would be willing to give a statement. I said yes, I'd be willing to give a statement. But then the statement that you've got, I didn't write, and it wasn't written in my presence.
Were you given any instructions about what sort of account you should give if you were ever asked to provide a witness statement?
No. The advice would be to try to avoid giving one if you possibly can, and I always did manage to avoid having to give one.
I'm exploring whether there was ever any discussion that you should give an account that wouldn't actually be helpful to the defence.
No.
The Helen Steele's suitcase. In your witness statement, you say that Rosa told you about it.
Yeah, I think she mentioned something about it. Can
you recall the circumstances in which she did so?
No, I didn't. I didn't know anything about Helen Steele in any suitcase, but when I was asked questions about it by this, I think Rosa might have mentioned it, but I don't know anything about Helen Steele's suitcase. I still don't know anything about Helen Steele's suitcase or what it even means.
Are you able to help us at all with how Rosa knew about that?
I think, well, if I've remembered it correctly, and she did mention it to me, then I guess I would have thought that she had been told that by Helen. But it's possible that I'm trying to remember, did she mention a suitcase? I don't remember. Perhaps she did. I don't remember. I think when I was asked lots of questions, I thought perhaps she did, but I don't know. I certainly don't know anything about it.
The incident where you bumped into, you and Mr. Healy met, that you gave evidence about this morning. Is it right that you had already seen Helen Steele in the location, which please don't mention, or in the vicinity?
At that location, no.
At any time?
Yeah, at any time.
Was there an occasion when you saw her when you were in a vehicle?
I don't remember seeing Helen since I finished my deployment.
One moment, please, sir. Thank you. That's it, sir.
Is there any re-examination?
So no, thank you.
I have been provided with evidence since you spoke about the witness statement that you made, or that was made in your name, that bears your name, in relation to the Good Easter Hunt saboteur event. The statement provides cogent evidence that the witness statement that was in your name could not have come to have been prepared without you saying to someone in the Bindman's office what's set out in the statement, probably by telephone.
I had a telephone call conversation with them, which I think I gave in my evidence.
Yes.
I don't recall ever giving any statement to them, I'm afraid.
Was the...
So can I ask a question?
Yes?
Is there a detail in the statement then which is specific to me?
I can't answer that. The document that you and I have seen,
Yeah.
the witness statement which bears your name but not your signature, it is said was sent to your address. You say you didn't receive it. Leave that to one side because things can go wrong in the post. But the thrust of what I'm told is that there is no way in which such a statement could have come to have been prepared unless it was based upon what you told the person who wrote it, who drafted it, over the telephone.
I don't recall giving a witness statement over the phone, I'm afraid. This is a long time ago, but I remember a phone call where they asked me if I was willing to give one, and for my details for the statement. That was not a sit down, give us a witness statement over the phone, but it was a very short chat. If my recollection is at odds with a very large firm of lawyers, then I'm going to have to say perhaps my recollection is incorrect.
Yeah.
But
That's all I wanted to hear. If there was a reason for doubting that the normal practice of their firm and most firms was followed when preparing a witness statement, then I wanted to hear it from you.
okay, I will bow to their perhaps more minuted recollection then.
Very well. Then that, I think, concludes today's evidence and your evidence. I think it is very unlikely that you would be required to come and attend to give evidence again. I don't exclude that possibility completely, because I don't know any more than you do exactly what's going to happen in the next week or two. But on the basis that that is your evidence, may I express my gratitude to you. I know you've come here under compulsion, but I appreciate that it is not easy for you to speak about difficult events a long time ago. I'm grateful for you for having done so. Thank you.